everybody, I'm Kimberly Turner from cookingwithkimberly.com, and tonight I'm going to show you a fantastic dessert. This is how to bake Haskap apple pie. Now I have these beautiful, huge Ontario Cortland apples. They're from Harvest Bar and Country Markets. They're gorgeous, and I picked them up. I have a ton of apples and I need to use them up, and what better way to use them than to bake an apple pie, okay? And Haskap, if you've never heard of Haskap, it's a berry, and it kind of looks like an elongated blueberry. It's blue and frosty. It's got a nice crimson, sweet, tangy flesh inside. It kind of tastes like a mixture between blueberry, loganberry, elderberry, raspberry, all the berries that you can think of. And it comes from Haskapa is the brand name, and that's what it looks like. And I have dried ones today that I'm using. I'm so excited about these because they are so tasty. Now, they look like little raisins. They're dried up, and aren't they just so amazing? They are so tasty and tart and tangy. I love these things. So you can check out more information about them online at haskapa.com. They have a whole wide variety of products. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Make sure you check out my reviews and my recipes with Haskapa products, okay? Fantastic. So we're gonna have this beautiful white flesh of the apples mixed in with little dots of Haskapa berry throughout the pie. It's going to be stupendous. And now you can serve that with ice cream. You can serve it with whipped cream, whatever you like. Tonight, I think we're gonna do whipped cream. So this is how we're gonna do it. First things first, I'm gonna wash these apples, peel them, core them, chop them into little chunks, okay? Actually, my mom's gonna do that for me while I get the pie crust ready. I'm also gonna reserve probably one apple that I'm gonna do full slices, like half moons. And that way I'm gonna be able to make a nice fan shape on the top for presentation. All right, so let me bring these to Mom and I'll show you how to get cracking on this crust. Okay, so our apples are all chopped up into nice little chunks. Not all of them, I guess, all but one. Size is about that big, okay? And then we have one apple that's sliced in half moons. Okay, so these guys are gonna sit off to the side, the slices, for right now until after I already plate the pie. First thing I'm gonna add is about a half cup of the dried Haskapas. Now, some of them are stuck together, so if you have to, just unstick them a little bit as they go in. I'm also reserving a couple so that I can make a nice design on the top. Now, I'm not rehydrating these first because there's quite a bit of liquid in apples, and I'm gonna let this mixture actually macerate while I'm getting my pie crust ready. So these guys should be assisted in plumping up a little bit. All will be nice and well. I think it's gonna be pretty with the flecks of these berries in with the apples. And these guys are quite tart when they're dry. So you're probably gonna add a little bit more sugar than you typically would to your apple pie recipe. I am starting out with a half a cup of brown sugar and a half a cup of white sugar mixed together, and then I'm gonna mix everything else and do a taste test to make sure we're on point to where we need to be. I likely will have to add a little bit more, but it's to each individual's taste. In goes my sugars. I'm also going to add 3 tablespoons of flour to the mixture, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. This is gonna help take away any excess liquid. You don't want a runny pie, and you don't want your crust to be all soggy either. And maybe a teaspoon of tapioca. I think that should do us today. Especially since the Haskap berries will do some work at soaking up some of that liquid as well. There we go. Now, I did put some lemon juice, the juice of half a lemon, on the apples just so they wouldn't discolor while we were waiting. I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt. And I'm gonna keep the spices really simple. Now, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and add ginger, you could add cinnamon, you could add a little bit of nutmeg, but I wanna just taste the apple and the Haskap berry today. Okay, so stir that up so that everything is evenly coated. You don't have any lumps of flour, you don't have any lumps of cornstarch. And I'm gonna do a preliminary taste test. That's gonna be fantastic. Oh boy. So I'm gonna leave this to macerate while we're getting this pie crust rolled out. And I'm also gonna do one more taste test at the very end. It might have a little bit of a different thing going on because some liquid will come out and everything is gonna help all those flavors combine a little better. Okay, so I'm making a pie crust that is for a standard pie plate, okay? So there's my plate, and I already have a dough mixed up that I had in the freezer. I made a beautiful pie the other night, but I always make a double batch of dough when I'm making pie crust so that for such a time as this, it's already ready to go. If you're going through that trouble to make a pie crust, go ahead and make double. So tonight I'm actually using one from the freezer. So use whatever recipe you like, or you can use a store-bought one if you really want to, if you're nervous about doing pastry. You can always check out our recipe how to make, I think it's how to bake mom's classic pie crust. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen for you. And that's what this is, okay? So I have some bench flour, and I'm just going to put that on my bench. A little bit there, a little bit on my rolling pin, a little bit on my dough so it doesn't stick. There. We're gonna roll this out to maybe 1/8 of an inch thickness. I've been defrosting this out of the fridge for a couple hours, and so it's perfect, maybe an hour I guess, and it's perfect temperature and texture right now to roll out easily, and the dough will stay together nicely. It's such a beautiful, flaky, crusty dough. You have to try my recipe for it. Now, sometimes I cut out designs for the top of the pies. Tonight, I'm gonna actually make a design with the fruit, so we don't need to do that. What a beautiful dough. Now, pie crust is quite forgiving. Pie dough, I should say, pie crust dough is quite forgiving. So if you have a break in it, a tear in it, a rip in it, it's pretty easy to go ahead and repair it. I think that's pretty good. Let's get our pie crust over here. I'm just going to roll the dough onto my rolling pin. That's always the easiest way to do it, to pick it up without breaking it all. This is such a delicate pie crust. It's awesome. Okay, so up we go. And roll it over top. Perfect. Okay, so give it some room here because you have to push it into the corners of the pie plate. And I like to use the backs of my knuckles, but don't push too hard because you'll make the dough so much thinner right where you want it to be kind of thicker, because you want a piece of pie to stand up on a plate when you cut it. So just go ahead and push that into the corners. So I'm just going to cut around the edges just past the pie plate so that I can make a beautiful scalloped pattern. Now, people that love pastry will appreciate the fact that you gave them a nice scalloped edge that they can snack on too. Never waste your pie dough. Put that back in the freezer. All right, so with your forefinger and your thumb, you're just going to pinch the dough together and make kind of like a little diamond shape with the dough in between. And you just keep repeating that all the way around in an even pattern. Real simple. Now I'm preheating my oven to 400 degrees. This pie is going to bake at 400 for 20 minutes, and then we're going to turn it down to 375 to finish it off. It'll likely take about 15 or 20 extra minutes after that, just to make sure that the bottom of this pie crust is nicely browned and crisp. Okay, so there is my pie crust all prepared and ready to go. What a beautiful dough this evening, I have to say. It is a lovely recipe and it works like every time, so we're good to go. I am going to stir this up one more time, and you're going to be able to see that it's a little bit more glossy. There's more liquid in there coming out, so that's what you kind of want to see. It's all nice and shiny. So stir that up. Give yourself one more taste test. So good. Boy. I think I'm going to add just one more tablespoon of sugar, either variety you like. Now, I also need to toss these guys with a little bit of sugar, too. Maybe a tablespoon of brown sugar and a tablespoon of white sugar. And toss these guys up just quickly. Make sure they're all coated. Okay, so into the pie crust goes your apple mixture. Now I'm doing an open pie tonight, but if you wanted to do a top crust, feel free to do so. Either way. I think apple pies are beautiful. I think fruit pies in general are beautiful when they're open as well, because you can see all that fruit. That's the whole point of a pie. So just kind of adjust them so that they're all sitting flat-ish. You want a good mixture of those berries throughout. Push it up to the corners. That sugar is going to kind of caramelize on top of those apples and give these nice little browned bits that are going to be so beautiful. So that's what it looks like. And you could stop here if you like, but I'm going to make a beautiful pattern. And I'm just going to make kind of a starburst pattern with a little bit of a hole in the middle so that I can put some extra dried Haskap berries. And they're going to look so pretty. So go through and arrange like a sun shape, sort of, in a circle. It's going to be really pretty once it's baked up. I'm just trying to place the pieces all the same direction. Well, I have a couple extra left. I'm actually going to dab little dots of butter, one in the center and a couple around the edges. That's going to just make everything super duper tasty. Little tiny dabs like that. That's going to melt all into that pie. So delicious. Okay, so I've shown you the dried berries from Haskapa, but now I've got some Haskapa jam. And this is made from the Haskap berry again. And I've made a flower pattern. Let me show you. It's like in a starburst. So I have an inner layer of these slices all facing the same way, and then I stuck them in between just a little bit further out to make a double layer, okay? And in the center, I've left it kind of open. So I'm gonna create a little design in here. And I'm going to spoon in some Haskapa jam in the center. And this has big, beautiful, plump berries in it too. It is most exquisitely delicious. Oh. So into the center, it's going to look like a flower. It's going to be so beautiful. So I'm just filling that up with jam. That's going to kind of ooze in there. Make a beautiful pattern. And I'm going to drop a couple of the dried berries in the center as well. So there you have it, a beautiful Haskap apple pie. Now if you wanted to do another design on the outside throughout the flower, go ahead. Sky's the limit. You can be creative if you like. That's how we're doing it today. So my oven is preheated now to 400 degrees. I'm throwing it in for 20 minutes and we'll see you then. Okay, it's been 20 minutes. Okay, it's been 20 minutes and this is what my pie looks like. It's getting a good start. It's starting to brown on those edges. It's exactly what I want. And now we're turning down the temperature to 375 degrees. I'm throwing it back in. For about 15 minutes, I would say. And in the meantime, I had some extra dough and I just made like a little boat with it, sort of, and I filled it with some extra dried Haskap berries and the rest of the apples that I had. And that's baking alongside it. I put it in a couple minutes after I started the pie, and I'm gonna finish it up right now with it as well. Okay, our little Haskap apple boat is for sure ready. I'm gonna put that over here for a second. And I covered my pie with some aluminum foil when I felt like the apples looked nice and brown, just to make sure that they didn't burn and they didn't get too much further. But I want to make sure that this crust is all the way cooked. So you want to make sure that it's brown to the bottom. And I think I'm going to let that go for another 5 minutes in the oven, and I'm actually going to leave it uncovered. Look how gorgeous this looks. Beautiful. Okay, 5 more minutes at 375. In the meantime, I'm going to take this off of the tray and put it on a cooling rack to finish cooling so that we can actually eat it. It looks gorgeous, really. Let me show you how pretty it is. Just be creative, guys. Don't waste anything. So it's a little open boat. See that? Pretty. Okay, my pie is nearly done. I wanted it to go maybe another 2 more minutes on top of that. You just want to make sure it's nice and browned on the bottom. That's very important. So I'm gonna get out my cooling rack because you definitely can't eat it right now, unfortunately. You have to wait until it cools. If you cut into it now, it would just kind of all ooze out, and that's not what we want. We want to, you know, maintain the structure of it. When you cut it, it's gonna look beautiful on the plate. I'm also probably gonna whip up some whipped cream, and you're gonna see this pie in 1 second. Let me show it to you. If this is not one of the most beautiful pies I've ever made, I am lying. Look at that. So look at how beautiful that is. I love how the sides of the apples have browned up and caramelized to make an even more beautiful pattern of a flower. Isn't that just one of the prettiest pies you've ever seen? All right, so we're gonna let this just sit and cool all the way through. This is gonna take at least an hour, unfortunately, and I'm gonna just leave it on the cooling rack because that's gonna help it out quite a bit. And I guess you'll see me in a little while taste it. And if you don't see me tonight taste it, you'll see me tomorrow. Okay, so this pie is just barely warm, just above room temperature. And it has done a beautiful job at congealing up and thickening up that filling. It's gonna be fantastic. I can't wait to try it. And our whipped cream is ready, our Haskap whipped cream. Come on, let's try some of this. All that's left to do. Well, the first piece is always the hardest to get out, so let's see how we did. That is a lovely piece of pie. A little bit of whipped cream. And we have a masterpiece on our hands. Look at that pie. That is a Haskap apple pie with Haskapa whipped cream. Come on, out of this world. Fantastic. So let's try this masterpiece. Oh, goodness, that is so good. The apples are almost light and fluffy. That's the texture of them. This whipped cream is outrageously good. So nice and light, fluffy, and has that beautiful tang and sweetness from the Haskap berries. Look at that. Oh, come on. The Haskap, the dried Haskaps that we used are all nice and plump and sweet. Oh, they've soaked up the apple juice. Come on, and that pie crust is really, really great. What a great pie. Oh, you've got to try this recipe. That's a lovely pie with those little specks of Haskap berries. You can see better here. Haskap berries and the apple. Oh my goodness, come on. So be sure to check out Haskapa.com online for these products as well as their others in their line. These are the dried Haskap berries. Again, that was in the pie. And the Haskapa jam, that was used on the top of the pie as well as in the whipped cream. So I hope that you try this. Make the whipped cream, you're gonna love it. The pie is beautiful and so, so tasty. Anyone's gonna love it, whether they're a child or whether they're an adult. Really, really good pie. All right, so that's how you do it. That's how you bake a Haskap apple pie. Follow me on Twitter at Cooking with Kim E with a capital E. Like the fan page at facebook.com/cookingwithkimberly. My shows are on ifood.tv/cookingwithkimberly, youtube.com/cookingwithkimberly, and you can find me syndicated on Roku. Come to my website at cookingwithkimberly.com and subscribe. Interact with us and let us know what's going down in your culinary world, all right? Be a champion in your kitchen and eat deliciously. Bye.